Remote working is something that's been going on as long as work has been happening. People, bosses especially, and executives have been taking their work home and doing it from there. So we know historically that there's a ton of productivity that can happen outside of the office. Remote working has gained popularity and prominence as technology companies and more nimble startups have needed to find ways to attract amazing talent from all across the world. Remote working today looks like a company without a headquarters where everything happens online, from all hands to company parties and get-togethers with occasional yearly or biannual full company get-togethers. It also takes on the form of your boss or your company allowing you to work from home 1 or 2 days a week, where you're able to check in online without going into the office at all during those days and complete your work there. So there's a really wide range of what remote working looks like today. And I think it's going to continue to increase in a variety of hybrid forms over the next decade. Companies are eager to stop spending a ton of money on real estate, especially in San Francisco and places like New York. Real estate prices for organizations have continued to rise, and they're not in danger of getting any cheaper over the next 10 years. Employers are also really excited about the opportunity to attract global talent while still being in the same location. Imagine being able to get the best programmers in London or India or South Africa. A whole bunch of people around the world have a ton of great ideas and contributions that they can make to any organization, and it really doesn't matter where they are. So remote working is something that's going to keep going, and it's going to be a trend that I don't think we're going to see dissipating over the next decade, which is why it's so important to develop the skill set now to understand how you can be your most productive self while you're working from home. It can be tricky at first, especially if you're coming to this program and this is your first time working from home. It can feel overwhelming. You're unsure of how to communicate your progress, how to establish priorities and goals, and how to stay connected with your community at large, in addition to your coworkers. So there's going to be some of that in here. In my remote work, I work for a fully remote company that does not have a headquarters. My boss actually lives on the other side of the world in San Francisco, where I came from. I currently live in France with my husband and 3 children. We decided to come to France after living in Portland for a year and having a homestead. We realized that we really wanted to travel around Europe in addition to kind of growing our own food and doing fun stuff like that. And we both had awesome, really flexible remote jobs, which is part of the reason that we got them. So we decided to come to a small town in France where we live. We grow food in our giant backyard, and we're looking for property over the long term. But because we have the flexibility to work from anywhere in the world, we feel confident that we can do all of the things that we want here while still being professionally successful in our everyday lives. So that's one of the really big benefits. Now, there are a couple drawbacks to working remotely, especially if you're new to this. There can be an incredible sense of loneliness, especially when you don't get that in-person feedback from your coworkers or your executive. It can start to feel like you might be out of the loop. There's a lot of informational silos, and you're not sure how to penetrate them. That's something that we're going to talk about later on in this course as well. And it's important to make sure that you are set up to be productive. When you're working from home versus the office, it can feel confusing for how you make space for the work that you need to do and get done, and also your own personal life. I personally suggest that everyone intentionally create distinct, separate spaces between their personal and their professional lives. I talk about this in the course, but it's easy to feel super comfortable at home and forget the importance of decorum and presentability, because our brains aren't cued to do the same things when we leave the house. When we're home, we're usually in our pajamas. This is our space of comfort and safety. So when you create two distinct areas in your home, whether you have a door to close or not, some place that is only for working, and some place and the rest of your house that is for personal space, it will start to help cue your mind to understand that, hey, when I walk into this space, I need to be professional, presentable, and make sure that I am okay to be visible for the next however long you're going to be working. That's another one of the things I think it's really important for folks to address before they get into working remotely. But as I said, loneliness is one of the big ones. I think, especially since we're all going through this unique time during this quarantine, it's probably a bigger issue than it's ever been. So making sure that you really invest in communities, whether they be on Facebook, join the officials, find time to create and nurture community around things that you're invested in or that you love, so you have an opportunity to make those connections, get that wonderful feedback that all of our human brains are craving, and find some long-term stability throughout all this chaos.